This week, you have an interesting hidden gem here, so let's turn it over to you, Adrian. What we got going on this week?
All right, so this week's hidden gem, we talk a lot about different characters, DC, Marvel, so on and so forth. But there are other definitions of characters, right? So this week's hidden gem is not a person per se in the multiverse. It is a location. It is a city, and it's one of the most infamous cities. That being Gotham City. So this week's hidden gem is Gotham City, and what made this interesting is that, this is a fully developed city in the DC universe.
Right.
We all know that it's the Crown City that Batman lives in and he protects. As a matter of fact, the protection of Batman over Gotham is so in depth that other superheroes have to get permission from him in order to operate in his city. Right. We talking about like Green Lantern. We talking about Superman. These guys, when they come into town, they have to let Batman know, or they will hear from Batman himself, which is pretty awesome, right?
He'll whoop that ass.
Right. However, of course, he can just walk into Metropolis whenever
Absolutely.
he wants to, but he typically goes as Bruce Wayne.
Right.
Right. So, Gotham actually started out, thousands of years ago, apparently. Right. There was some evil warlock buried there. He later became like Dr. Gotham, which kind of started all this stuff. But it was rumored that his essence, when he was buried, his essence seeped into the grounds of what's now Gotham City, which kind of set the whole land up for this whole plight and darkness and everything evil that goes through it, right? And then at some point, it was the territory surrounding this burial spot was inhabited by Native American or this Native American tribe, Magina, right?
Okay.
So, which most places in America were inhabited at the point. They were. I don't think they discovered America, but they were just here,
right.
And other people discovered them afterwards.
They discovered it when someone was already living
exactly,
here. Okay.
Exactly.
Okay, Christopher.
So, they inhabited the lands around it, and then some shaman came in, Blackfire, right? He's like the snake oil salesman or whatever. He came in, I can do all this stuff. He basically corrupted the tribe. The tribe tried to get rid of him. And this guy, Blackfire, actually killed the chief, Chief Paleface,
okay.
right? And then the tribe revolted against this guy. They shot him up with arrows, all that stuff. They didn't really kill him. So they kind of put him in this tomb, and they erected this totem in front of this tomb in order to, alert people of the evil within the tomb. Okay. However, the land was so, because he was there, the land was so, it was once fertile, but, throughout his interactions, it basically spoiled the land and the tribe had to move. Well, unfortunately, 2 days after they got into their journey, right, it was rumored that they were attacked by another tribe and just decimated.
Yeah.
So everybody from this tribe was just killed. Now, other people say that it was Blackfire himself that actually killed the entire tribe. But either way, they're wiped out. Later on, this Dutch tribe comes in, and fortunately for the tribe, they didn't have the opportunity to discover the location and do what most Europeans did back in those days.
They hand out smallpox,
kill, steal, and destroy. So they came up on this land, and of course ignored the totem.
Yeah.
Released this Blackfire dude, and they wiped them out as well. So a group of people from the surrounding communities came in later on. I don't know where this 2-day thing came from. Like a bunch of people die, and then 2 days later something else happens. but these guys, these people came in from the surrounding community, and they discovered a bunch of blood all over the place. Basically a bunch of people missing, things still in place, blood everywhere, but no bodies.
Got it.
So these early, Dutch settlers got wiped out as well. And throughout the centuries, Gotham developed from this, this fishing place to, small town. The Waynes got in there. They started developing, of course, passing down their richness and their money and their influence and all this other kind of stuff. And so it became this budding town. And then, like in the 1930s, you get like the early, this place is just ridden with crime. Historically the account is that because of this original evil spirit, in the land, this crime is just happening. They can't get over it.
Gotham's just cursed.
Yeah. So in the 30s, then you see the rise of like the Golden Age, Green Lantern, Black Canary, Justice Society, things like that.
Yeah.
And then, of course, and it's like Batman. Who people think that Batman was a result of all of the supervillains. And then some people say, well, the supervillains came because Batman existed, right? Yep. So you had this rise of, you had the regular mafia and stuff, and then the mafia was eclipsed by these, super criminals, things like that. And then the Batman comes in, and then of course Batman comes in, and then all the other supervillains and all the other superheroes come in. So this place kind of like eats itself, but also resurrects itself, right? So, they tried to build this, this giant underground railway thing, which failed 2 days later. And that became the home of, the Killer Croc. So they do things that produced a super something, right? Which then produced another super something. So they did some action, super villain, which created a superhero. Yeah. Or they did something, created a superhero, then which created more supervillains. Right. So Gotham City is but if you look at it, it's like, they got parks, they got, development centers. Of course, you got the historic things like the, Batcave, like everybody's living in these things. And there's like so many criminals and superheroes living in this joint. I think there's like a list of like 30 or 40 characters that live in Gotham City alone. Yeah. So I selected this one, as a hidden gem, because it's just so interesting. And it's spun just like any other city that developed in real life. It has a culture, it has a history, it has a birth. It evolves. Interesting note that it's actually below sea level. So in the Batman, the latest movie, when the whole city flooded, it didn't take that much in order to flood the city. Right. Just open up a couple of walls. And then it floods in. So even that itself is part of like that curse. The fact that it's so vulnerable, so delicate, but it spawns all of this stuff. This stuff meaning crime, poverty, but then it's also got all these super villains and all these superheroes, involved in it or around it. Yeah. So I thought it was an interesting character. It's a little different from a superhero with powers, or supervillain, but I think it's interesting nonetheless because you wonder why Batman is so passionate about it. Right. You wonder why so much crime is happening in it, and it's that history. And I enjoyed actually deep diving into this. And I'll probably do some more cities. Metropolis and Superman probably not that interesting. No, but who knows what happens? Maybe Central City with the Flash. So other future things to come.
I think Metropolis is about as interesting as Superman, which is like
exactly.
We get there's a good chunk of the universe that doesn't agree with us with our whole Superman takes. That's all right. I don't dislike him. It's just like you got Batman like up here, and you got Superman like down there.
It's bad when Superman's son. Like his own dad is like number 2 to Batman.
Exactly. Even the dog, bro. His dog, Crypto, would rather play with a Batman toy than a Superman toy. Come on. That's crazy. But dude, I when I saw this morning, I was excited because I remember we said this a few weeks ago that like Gotham City is a character in itself. I didn't know the whole demon curse aspect, but it makes a lot more sense now. And I think because of that, because I was going to ask you, of all the different portrayals of Gotham City we've seen in live action, which one do you think portrayed Gotham City the best?
I think the Chris Nolan one did
Really?
it. Yeah. I would. I mean,
which one though? Batman Begins when it was CGI, or when he shot it in Chicago with The Dark Knight?
I'm thinking Begins. Like the first and second one was the best, and then the third one they moved to like New York or something, right? But I also like the Gotham in the Batman, the Robert Pattinson one. It just made more sense because typically when DC shoots in the dark, you can't even make out the figure of a person
right.
against the backdrop, right?
Yep.
But now they've done a better job with maybe backlighting or some other things. But I would definitely go with like the first and second Nolan Batman, and then the Batman, the latest one with Pattinson.
Yeah, I would go with the Batman.
Yep.
And then I think my second would be. Like, for me, The Dark Knight, they shot most of it in, like, Chicago, and you can tell. But Batman Begins, I feel like, because it was shot on set and they used some CGI, it was a pretty decent Gotham. Mm-hmm. But I love the Tim Burton Gotham, like the Batman Returns one, because of that. It fits that Art Deco style that you see so much in the comics. So mine would be the Batman, and then Batman Returns second. Now, one of the themes usually for Hidden Gem is a character that's not been portrayed properly yet on screen. Mm-hmm. Now, Gotham could be, like, I would say the closest to portraying it properly has been the Batman, but let's see what they do with the next, because it's going to be a trilogy.
Right.
Let's see, if they can continue that, because hopefully they don't make the Nolan mistake and, go from what works and then just go film it down the street, let's just go to Chicago and film it.
Right.
So I also love that in both the Tim Burton movies and the Matt Reeves Batman, that it's almost always gloomy in Batman. It's weird, or in Gotham. It's weird when, like, Gotham, it's broad daylight and the sun shining. Like, I know that it's not always gloomy, but that's how it's portrayed in the comics.
Right.
But I'd love to see, as much as the Batman's grounded, I think if they use that whole Gotham mythology of, the buried demon and all that, it could be a way to bring in some supernatural and not make it too extreme. You know what I mean? Not do the Marvel multiverse shit where you go from, like, ground level to 1800 universes in 14 seconds.
Right.
So yeah, dude, I think this is a great pick. And there's so many. Thing about Gotham is there's so many iconic characters. There's also so many iconic locations within Gotham like that could be a hidden gem themselves.
Right.
I mean, Arkham Asylum.
Yep.
Blackgate.
Yep.
You have the Iceberg Lounge. The Penguins, and then the whole 44 Below, the club underneath. Falcone's his whole operation, his office with that iconic elevator. And you talked about Gotham. Going from that, mob controlled type city to now, supervillain city.
Right.
And one of the best stories that shows that's A Long Halloween, which we reviewed here. But that's really the main plot, or one of the main plots of that story, is Batman going from fighting street level, criminals to now supervillains like Two-Face and Joker and whatnot. But I mean, Gotham, it plays a major role in that story. I mean, the first line of the story is, "I believe in Gotham City," right? Like, so yeah, I think this is great, dude. This is good. And you're right. It Gotham over Metropolis any day of the week.
And it also speaks about doing this deep dive into this this character. Is like, we talk about content a lot, right? And how they keep regurgitating, the death and rebirth of Superman and Martha and blah, 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 blah. Uncle Ben.
You said Martha.
But they have like what? How many? Like 18 to 20 superheroes in Gotham alone. But they have over 60 or around, definitely over 40 supervillains.
Right.
That doesn't even include the regular criminals, like the Falcones, things like that. So there is so much content just off of this one city alone that they can put out so much more stuff instead of, just regurgitating the same crap that they do all over and over and over again.
Yeah. And I mean, the original Green Lantern's from Gotham.
Right.
Like, everyone always think, Batman was not the first superhero in Gotham.
Nope. I mean, there were superheroes apparently, decades before Batman came along. But I didn't realize that the Black Canary was back from that day. I'm assuming that there's like other Black Canaries.
Yeah.
Either that or she took some super soldier serum or got bitten by Dracula or something's going on. Yep. Maybe that would be one of my next deep dives, Black Canary.
There you go. That's a good one. See, hey, DC, they're coming around, dude. Right, they have some. You just have to dig a lot deeper with DC. Yeah. I mean, Marvel, like you take 1 foot in the cave and like they're not even really hidden. They're all right there.
Exactly.
But DC, you got to go way in the back, dude. Yep. But now this was another great Hidden Gem. If you like this segment, then check out the Hidden Gem playlist.